You want me to put that on my tudger?
This One's Wife, Christmas Disaster. There has much been made by This One's Wife and Harry about attendance at Sandringham for Christmas. There have been attempts to manifest this by suggesting that if an invitation was forthcoming, they would accept it, which of course nobody, save a narcissist, uses such language when it comes to being invited to an event. Naturally, there'll be considerable resistance from the Prince and Princess of Wales to them attending, because quite simply, there is the concern that their behaviour will spoil the event, that too much has been said already, which will make interactions difficult and awkward, that there has been such a period of silence between the relevant parties that will be difficult to bridge, and, perhaps most importantly of all, the concern that whatever is said and whatever is done behind closed doors will somehow end up in another book or in a shitflick series. The fact is that amongst the royal family, what goes on behind closed doors ought to stay there. In the same way as your family, you don't go rushing around creating television programmes based upon what was said over the dinner table. Not least, of course, because the world isn't really interested in your life because you're not famous. But even so, even if you were, unless you do a reality fly on the wall TV series which has buy-in from all the various participants, it's jolly bad form to go around grassing up in this way. Of course, This One's Wife behaves in that manner because she has no boundary recognition, has no emotional empathy for those affected by what she says, and she's driven by the pursuit of the prime aims. Her narcissism saying it's absolutely okay for you to breach confidences, it's absolutely okay for you to twist the truth, it's absolutely okay for you to tell porky pies about these people and what has gone on behind closed doors, because it enables you to control other people, draw fuel from them, and of course lay your hands on money because that is so important to you. Michael Deacon, writing in The Telegraph, envisages what problems would arise and leads with the headline, "Inviting Harry and This One's Wife for Christmas would be nothing short of a disaster for the royal family. A reconciliation during the festive season is a heart-warming suggestion, but I fear King Charles might come to regret an invitation." What an incredible story this would be. According to a national newspaper, an unnamed friend of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex says the couple would readily accept an invitation to spend Christmas with the royal family at Sandringham. Now, pausing there, you might think, what a preposterous thing to say. You've shat all over the family, and now you say, oh yes, we quite happily come along for Christmas. What a brass neck this woman exhibits. Well, the fact is, she compartmentalizes because of her narcissism. As I've explained to you in the past, what happens on Monday immediately disappears into the ether, unless, of course, the narcissism deems that it's appropriate to resurrect it. Therefore, the narcissist, through compartmentalization, can be horrible to you in the morning and then come back in mid-morning and tell you how much they love you, and they don't see that there's a problem with that. They behaved with unabashed glee at telling you that you are their one and only, and you think, but 2 hours ago you were telling me that I was the worst human being on the planet. How is it that you can behave this way? It's because there is no object constancy with the narcissist, that in this moment you're black, therefore you're slated, in this moment you're white, therefore you're praised, and now you're black again, and now you're white again. And you can alternate between the two repeatedly just in the course of a few hours. The narcissism deletes from the record what was said before unless it has to be brought back up. So, for example, if you were to say, why are you saying you love me when 2 hours ago you were telling me that my breath smells, my fashion is stuck in the 1970s, and I've got the hairiest legs that you've seen since Sasquatch? The narcissist would turn around and either go, I didn't say those things, why are you making them up? Which leaves you flabbergasted and your gassed flabbered as your jaw hits the ground. In other instances, the narcissist will say, oh, I was just upset, I didn't mean any of it, and pushes it to one side, which sounds plausible. They were upset, so maybe they said some things that they didn't mean, but they were meant in the moment. And it is the same with This One's Wife. When she lambasts the royal family, she means it in the moment, and then when she praises them, she means it in the moment. But neither of those things are genuine. They're governed by the narcissist conditional asterisk. Watch the video of the same name to understand what that is. Thus, she can tell lies about them, twist history, throw brickbats at the royal family, and then suddenly say, do you know what, if you invited me, we'd readily accept it. Me and Haz, we'd be delighted to come along. Cue intake of breath by the other royal members of the royal family. The article continues by explaining it's certainly a heart-warming suggestion. For the sake of all concerned, however, we'd better hope that no such invitation is forthcoming, because the author fears that the king would soon regret it. As everyone knows, even the happiest of families can end up rowing at Christmas, never mind families that are already at one another's throats. And then there's the risk that the Sussexes would give a tell-all television interview to Oprah Winfrey afterwards. Just imagine. Oprah, so you guys spent Christmas with Harry's folks back in England. You must have been so thrilled when King Charles asked you over. This one's wife, we were. Christmas has always been such a special time for me. Santa is actually a really close friend of mine. As a little girl, I was just so humbled by his work as a philanthropist and humanitarian, bringing hope to all the children of the world. And that was a big inspiration for the kind of compassionate global activism I do today. Oprah, that's so wonderful. And so, how did it go with Harry's family? Harry, oh, it was a complete disaster. Oprah, oh no, what happened? Harry, well, it started when I asked William if he'd like to pull a cracker with me. It was my cracker, so he should have let me win. I mean, that's the rule of cracker pulling. Everyone knows that. But he pulled really hard, so he won. And then he put the paper crown on his head like he was really trying to rub it in that he's going to be king and I'm only the spare. Oprah, how awful. I can't believe anybody could be so insensitive. Harry, but that wasn't all. Inside the cracker was a tiny plastic comb. Just because he won, he insisted on keeping it, even though he doesn't need a comb, whereas I still do. Just about. Oprah, Harry, I'm so sorry that happened to you. It must have been so traumatic. But this one's wife, what about you? Were you able to patch things up with the other royals? No, not after the really upsetting Christmas present they gave me. You won't believe what it was. Go on. It was a Barbie princess doll. Oh my God, that is so insulting. I know, because I've already got the Barbie princess doll, and I specifically asked for the Barbie Dreamhouse playset. It's just yet more proof that they never listen to me. Wow. Obviously, we were both really unhappy and wanted to leave, but then my dad tried to calm things down by suggesting a nice festive game of charades, so we agreed to stay. That must have taken so much strength and courage. But then William took the first go. He did the sign for a buck, then the sign for title, one word, and then he started miming someone screaming and wailing and crying their eyes out. I was absolutely furious. Hey, I shouted, you're blatantly doing spare, my buck. Unbelievable. Yeah, he looked really puzzled and said, no, I'm not. It's Misery by Stephen King. But I wasn't falling for that, so we walked straight out and caught the first private jet home. And envisaging, in a comedic way, of what Michael Deacon sees might transpire if the Sussexes were to attend Christmas at Sandringham. Whilst it might not be too far removed from the truth, what does it show you again? Yet more ridicule of the Gruesome Twosome. They're not afforded respect because they don't command it. They haven't earned it. And once again, in relation to the prospect of a Christmas being spent with them, the Telegraph sees this as another opportunity to ridicule them, which of course provides fuel to this one's wife, but challenges her by causing her to be seen as not a serious player, something that I've explained to you on many occasions she hates, and is yet again another instance of the way that they are just seen as a pair of clowns and are apt for ridicule. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.